Siftpop podcast. Sorry, I got oregano in my throat. That's not going to cut it.
Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks. Why give away awards once when you could give away awards twice? That's what we're doing. It's Siftpop. Why not 4 times, Andrew?
Why not, man? We should have awards every day.
Welcome to Siftpop. It is a SwiftSift today, so a little bit different. Andrew and I just hanging out, and we're going to do our best of 2017 first half awards for Siftpop, as well as reference an article that I wanted to talk about. Maybe we'll just start there. New York Times did an article recently. By the way, Andrew, how you doing?
Hi.
I just realized you haven't said anything. Maybe you want to say more than hi, or just...
No, ahoy?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Ahoy, hi.
We are looking at the New York Times article that listed the best 25 movies of the first, little bit of this new millennium, century, whatever you want to call it. Now, when I sent this to you, you laughed because some of these movies came out in 2000, which technically could be considered part of last century or last millennium, because the 100th year or the 1000th year is the 0 year. And then you don't start the new millennium until the first year.
Yeah, until 2001.
So we
I scoffed, but...
We decided to go by, kind of the New York Times idea. Plus, I think it's kind of the general consensus that when it hits 0, that's where the new thing starts. So we'll go ahead and go with the incorrect assumptions of most of us.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a look at our own top 25 list that we would do for those years, as well as kind of talk a little bit about the article. What did you think about the article when you looked at it?
So I was surprised. This is going to sound... It seemed very pretentious because it was just full of nobody seen hipster indie films, like a whole bunch of foreign language films. It's like they were trying to scald me with the fact I hadn't seen a bunch of these movies.
I thought it was everything, and I almost tweeted about it the first time I saw it. I saw it about a week ago, and I don't like to... One of my things is I don't like to be negative unless I feel like there's a positive outcome to that negativity.
Yeah. And
every tweet I was coming up with was just really negative. And because that list is everything wrong with film criticism, in my opinion. Putting that list in. Now, there's nothing wrong with telling people, hey, here are some great movies that maybe you haven't seen. Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But to call it the top 25 of this century, when, I'm guessing most people haven't seen half that list, at least.
At least. I'd say a good portion of the people haven't seen, I'd say 80% of the movies on that list.
So what were some of the ones that you think people have seen on the list that you appreciated being on there, or that you liked, kind of seeing?
The number 1 on that list, There Will Be Blood. I have it really high on my list as well. I have it number 3 on mine. So the fact that they put it at number 1, like, okay, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I was happy to see Inside Out on there. I think they had it at number 7. And they kind of did this thing, and I actually did this with my list. That we've both got our lists up on Letterboxd, by the way, if you want to check out the full list, because we're not going to run all the way through them.
No, just highlight it here and there.
Just kind of highlight some stuff. But the one thing that I did that they also did was they kind of picked movies that summed up a category of movie. So, like, the Inside Out is the Pixar movie on the list. Because certainly you could talk about putting The Incredibles on there, Finding Nemo on there, some of the other Pixar movies that have come out this century. Mm-hmm. But they just kind of said, okay, here's our tribute to Pixar, or here's our tribute to the Coen brothers, or, you know what I mean? So they kind of did that thing. So I did that too, because otherwise my list, would have been like all Pixar. My list basically would have been Pixar, Spielberg, and Nolan.
Yeah, I get it.
That would have been my list. So I kind of did the same thing with mine too, but I did like seeing Inside Out there. I thought that was a good nod.
Another one I really appreciated being on the list was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
You know what? That, out of like all the movies like that tried to do something new and like, not follow the formula that Hollywood always does, I was really impressed by A, how good Jim Carrey is in a dramatic role, and B, just the chemistry that him and Kate Winslet have it's stellar.
Yeah, that was a good choice. That made my list as well. I don't think it made it as high as theirs, but it was definitely on there. Other than that, there wasn't... I mean, there were some others that I thought, were important to have on there. Yeah. I was really surprised they went with Inside Llewyn Davis for the Coen Brothers movie.
Really, out of all the Coen Brothers movies
Now, see,
to pick,
I'm a defender of Inside Llewyn Davis. I really like it. I think it's a great movie. But yeah, there are so many others that you would think might.
No Country
for Old Men. Yeah, that's the one on my list.
It is on mine as well. Yeah.
So I don't understand what they were thinking there.
One that kind of threw me for a loop was 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's like they just had to throw in one movie that, like people will be like, oh, okay, yeah, there's your one comedy reference.
It was like
right
a
there.
tribute to the comedies. And I don't even know that that's the comedy I would pick if I was just trying to pick a comedy, No,
yeah, that's not the one. It was a weird article. And the fact that it was written by like 5 people. It's
including like Guillermo del Toro and Anna DuVernay, some like directors. The one that people may have seen that blows me away, especially because I think it was number 3 on their list, $1 Million Baby. I know people like that movie, but I don't think it holds up as well. I mean, I'm one of those that actually doesn't enjoy that movie very much. It did not hold my attention.
I love it. I love that movie, but it didn't make my top 25.
No, me either. So yeah, I'm just gonna gander through this. See, those literally may be the only 5 on this list I've seen.
Yeah, the rest of them are weird foreign language films nobody has ever heard of.
Boyhood is on here. I get that choice.
I don't.
But
I hate, the more people talk about the movie, the more I realize I didn't like it.
Yeah, so. I think that's a movie that gets a lot of appreciation for its concept.
Yeah,
and the execution is good enough that the concept isn't ruined. But yeah, Hurt Locker's on here. I don't mind that choice. It's not on my list, but Hurt Locker's a great film.
I like it a lot, yeah. Did you have any comedies on your list?
I'm not sure. I'll pull up my list here when we kind of get to that. I just want to make sure we touch on all the ones that maybe people have seen. But I'm telling you, you will read through the titles on this list and just be like, not that you haven't even seen them, you haven't even heard of them.
No.
And I do this for a living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make a different list. Make a list that's best movies of the century, so far that you probably haven't heard
the best
of.
lesser-known movies.
Yeah, or something like that. It's just, I really did not enjoy this list. It made me want to make my own. The other one that people probably have seen is Munich, which again is an interesting choice for the Spielberg movie to put on here. But
it's up there for me,
no,
man.
it's a great movie. I'm not saying it's not a great movie. I'm just saying Spielberg's, I think he's made some better ones. Mad Max Fury Road is on there too.
I like that pick.
Which is a decent choice. Moonlight, which Andrew loves.
Yeah. Favorite movie of all time.
Would
you have put La La Land? Or I guess we're going to find out if you
I did not end up putting La La Land on there. It was
okay.
Close, but I certainly would have put it on there before I would have put Moonlight on there. I think that's recency bias on that one. And other than that, I think out of 25, what is that, like 8 that people may have seen?
Yeah, I thought it was less than that, honestly.
It's crazy, and you do the percentages, and that's 32%. So 32% of the list is stuff that you may have actually seen.
Yeah. And the other ones are like, I would be surprised if you'd heard of them. Not that you'd seen them, if you even heard of them.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Craziness. All right, let's talk about our own list. How do they compare? Like, what are some observations from your list?
Well, this list of theirs was full of foreign language films. I only had 2 foreign language films on my list as I looked over it. And they were Pan's Labyrinth and Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, I can remember being the first foreign language film I ever saw in a theater. Because around here in Springfield, Missouri, not a lot of theaters show foreign language films, unless it's like Moxie or something. But I was unaware of the Moxie at the time. But this was the first big one that came to theaters, and it blew me away. And I absolutely adore it. And then Howl's Moving Castle, I'm a huge Miyazaki fan. That's my favorite one. So a lot of people would choose Spirited Away.
Which the New York Times had on their list.
They did have on their list.
Yes. But, I actually didn't have any foreign language films on my list. I guess I'm a little ethnocentric in that way. For my list, the thing that I observed were, I think they left out Unbreakable. I think that's a good reference point for a lot of people, especially, I think M. Night, a lot of his early stuff gets forgotten because his downhill trajectory.
Yeah.
People forget how brilliant that early stuff is. I would absolutely put Unbreakable. It was pretty high on my list.
Yeah.
Surprised no mention of Gone Baby Gone, which has picked up a lot of steam as one of the greater movies.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise for me, which I'm sure on my list and probably on yours as well, although I will find out. I couldn't believe that they didn't have
Whiplash.
Whiplash is on my list. Is it on yours?
Yeah, I was going to say that was the big one. I was surprised didn't make their list.
No, Children of Men.
I'll tell you talk about Children of Men real quick.
So Children of Men is one of those movies that I think just continues to grow in esteem every single year as people kind of go back and revisit it and how well it's done. And so I just think that's one I'm surprised did not make their list.
Yeah. I'll tell you the ones, and these are the biggest movies of the 21st century. How do you not have them on your list? The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yes.
Pick a movie.
Yeah.
That movie there's no excuse.
I don't think it's a surprise that that's my number one, is one of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Mine. I culminated them all into one just so I don't have...
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, that's my number one as well. How do you not have that as your number, or on your list?
At least on your list, yeah. I mean, it almost changed the way that cinema is made, not only with the way he created those three films, but also kind of the geek culture that you see today owes so much to Lord of the Rings kind of coming to prominence in that way.
The big Nolan movie I have on my list is The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I picked The Prestige for my Nolan movie.
Oh, good one. That's a really good one too.
In fact, I have it at number 3. I love The Prestige. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I totally get it, man. It's one of mine as well. I wish I had it, but Nolan just makes too many good movies, man.
Right?
I had 2 comedies, and they're both from the Cornetto trilogy. So
did you have Shaun of the Dead on there?
And Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about putting Shaun of the Dead on there, and at the end of the day, I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. I guess the closest thing I have to a comedy on here would probably be, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Maybe?
Man, that was so close to making the list. It was really close.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. I kind of broke my rule that, put a couple Coen brother movies on here, but...
What's the highest rated Pixar movie you have on your list?
Finding Nemo at number 2.
Me as well.
And then I just didn't put any other Pixar on there.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, it's my third favorite movie of all time.
I get it.
So I often, when people ask the question, you don't have to clap for me. That's all right.
Do you have that gnat flying around your head?
No, it's just you, man.
Oh man, it is driving me banana hammocks. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. When people ask me if there's a movie I think is close to perfect, I always talk about Finding Nemo. I think it's almost a perfect film.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that might count as a comedy. Moulin Rouge, probably. Does that count as a comedy? This is one probably a lot of people wouldn't have on their list. But
Moulin Rouge?
Yeah, I loved that movie.
Is it your favorite musical?
Is it the only musical I have on there? I think it might be the only musical I have on there. So yeah, I guess that's my favorite musical.
There you go.
Well, in this list, you know what? I really did on this list stray a little bit away from favorites and weighed some more things like cultural impact, those kind of... Like, I really tried to do more of a... This isn't just about Aaron. Yeah. This list just isn't just about me. I wanted it to be a little broader than that. So you will find, if you compare this list to my top, 100, my favorite 100 movies, you'll see some discrepancies, like some weird things where some movies have been flip-flopped and those kind of things. And that's because it was a little different of a take for me.
And speaking of cultural impact, I had to mention the Avengers.
Yes! Avengers was on my list as well.
Yeah.
I actually had the Avengers and Iron Man. I think Iron Man also, being the first one and also being a great movie, is worthy of inclusion on there too.
It's one of the first good superhero movies.
I also had Her, I think, is one that will stand out for me years and years to come. And so I put that on there as well.
Did you have any, ones that you slid in? That one's just for me. I don't...
Yes.
You did? Okay, what was an example of that?
King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters.
Oh, man, I didn't even think of documentaries.
I love that documentary, man. It's my favorite documentary of all time.
Really?
Oh,
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
So yeah, that's the one that was like, yeah, that one's for me.
The one that I slid in that was just for me was Arrival.
Yeah,
it's how much I love that movie, and it blew me away. It cracked my top 100, and I absolutely adore that. I also threw in the Lego Movie.
That's a good choice.
I don't know if that's really like a one that I'd slide in just for me, because I do think a lot of people are starting to appreciate that movie for what it is now.
I also slid in Ex Machina. It's just a brilliant film. I also slipped in United 93, which I think is a tough watch.
It's a tough watch,
but it's
man.
Such an important movie, and it's so well done. I was so impressed with that movie, with the care that was taken with it. So, lots of good stuff. Anything else you wanted to mention before we go on to our awards for the first half of the year?
I'll just throw out my number 2, Gangs of New York.
Okay.
Because it is also my second favorite movie of all time. Or, third favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it's as appreciated as much as I believe it should be.
Good choice. Good choice. If you want to see our full list, you can follow us on Letterboxd. The only stuff I have on... I started to go back and review movies on Letterboxd because I was hoping the Android app would come out, and I'd just keep going. Because it'd be easy after a movie just to, give a rating and a review on Letterboxd.
It's great.
But they don't have an Android app yet.
Yet.
So, what's up with that? But the only real thing is I have my top 100 on there, and now this list as well. It's Your Movie Friend on Letterboxd, so letterboxd.com/yourmoviefriend. Andrew, what's yours?
Oh, I don't even know if I have a fancy URL for it.
Okay.
But
just search.
I'll tweet it out. How's
okay.
that?
Just tweet out the link.
Yeah.
All right. We will do that. You can check out the whole 25. Feel free to comment on it. Let us know what we missed, what you'd see on there.
Because I've only used it on my phone. I don't think your phone you can create a URL. Why can I not say URL today?
It's just 3 letters.
Yeah.
Just say them right in a row.
It's so early, Aaron. So early.
I dragged Andrew out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our first half of 2017 awards to finish up this SwiftSift. We're going to go through our top 5 movies of the first 6 months, as well as our top 3 performances and our top movie moment. Let's go in reverse of that. Let's start with movie moment, shall we?
Okay.
What is your top movie moment of 2017?
I hope I'm not stealing yours, but I have a good feeling I am because of your reaction in the theater. The Shyamalaning in Split.
I'm really glad you chose that. That's my number 2.
Okay.
Absolutely would have been my number 2. It's the reason I decided to go with something else as number 1 is as incredible as that moment was for me, the end of Split. It doesn't have a lot to do with the movie. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It has more to do with stuff outside the movie than that particular movie. It's still a huge movie moment.
Oh, yeah.
But I decided I wanted to emphasize something that actually had a lot to do with the movie itself. So that's why I went with the Wonder Woman Charge of No Man's Land scene.
Man, it was going to be... we flipped ours. That's crazy. Yeah, we flipped ours. I got emotional during that charge.
Oh, man.
Like, I got a little tear in my eye because it was pretty powerful
stuff. It is a powerful, powerful scene, and I think so far this year, probably what stood out to me the most. Did you want to give an honorable mention? Did you have any others that you wanted to mention?
Surprisingly, there's one other moment. It didn't impact as many people as I thought it would, but it's a spoiler. I will just say the very last scene of Logan.
Yeah, I had that on my list as well.
Where they turn something on its side.
Yep.
It hit me hard for some reason, man.
No, I had that on my list as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, absolutely. That's a good choice. All right, let's do our performances. Who had the best performances? We'll start at number 3, go to number 1. Since you started movie moment, I'll start here. Yeah. Number 3 performance for me, Anne Hathaway in Colossal.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I really loved her performance there and thought it was spectacular. It's a strange movie, and she grounds it with this reality. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses, period. Like, she just does such great work in sometimes, like, forgotten stuff. Like, did you ever see The Intern with her and De Niro?
I hated that movie.
But she was great in it, wasn't? Even if you hated that movie, like, she has this moment with De Niro where she's empathizing with him, and I started tearing up, and I'm like, this is like a silly comedy, kind of thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I really think Anne Hathaway's great, but she's really great in Colossal.
Yeah, I hear it's not what you expected because I guess the trailers aren't all that telling of what the movie should be.
I would say it's. I haven't seen the trailers. I didn't go back and watch them, but
it looked like a rom-com with a giant kaiju.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
Yeah. Because she's like partying in a park, and you see the monster partying on the laptop, and it looks kind of like that.
No, it's a lot deeper than that for sure.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
What's your number 3?
I'm going to go with Daniel Kaluuya and Get Out.
It's a great choice.
Man, I'd only seen him once, and that was in that one episode of Black Mirror, which he did a very, very good job, but he turns it up to 11 in this movie, man. I was blown away.
Yeah, he's incredible. In fact, he's my number 2.
Okay.
So I decided not to say Trump just because I'm talking next anyway.
Yeah.
He was my number 2. The thing in that movie is there's so much acting that happens just in the eyes. And it's not just him, it's with other characters as well. And he does so good. Some of that sunken place stuff is mind-blowing. Like, what a great performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, totally.
My
number 2?
Yeah, what's your number 2?
I'm going to go with James McAvoy in Split.
Nice!
Because of everything he has to do in that movie. I was thoroughly impressed by.
Yeah, that's my number 1. So you're just getting there right before me. No, that's fine. That's great. It's wonderful. I've never seen... I knew McAvoy was a good performer. Obviously, he's given great performances and other stuff. I didn't know he had this level of character ability in him. The different characters he plays in this movie are so defined. You can tell when he walks into the room which character he is before he even says a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just, some of the stuff he does as the little kid character is just brilliant. Yeah, I loved McAvoy in that.
It was very, very good performance.
Well, whatever your number 1 is, that's like my number, negative
4.
1 or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. It was so good at transcended lists.
That's right.
Okay.
What is it?
Actually, now that I'm looking at the list, I'm realizing that it's actually between 2 of them.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with my original number 1, and that would be Hugh Jackman in Logan.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Definitely would have been in my honorable mentions.
Yeah. Powerful. Do you think that's an Oscar-worthy performance?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. It's a great performance.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call it an Oscar-worthy performance.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really, really good. There's not a lot of dynamics to it. I mean, what I mean is it's a very similar performance all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's, exhausted Wolverine,
Yeah, exactly.
But it's perfect. He does it perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a nudge below award worthy in my opinion.
Another one the one I was struggling with, but then I realized it's not really a performance; it's a voice performance, and that would have been Will Arnett for Lego Batman, just because he's so good.
Sure, no, I'd count that.
But a huge shout out to Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman. She knows that character, man. And she rocks it.
She was my number 4. It was between her and Anne Hathaway for number 3 on my list. She was really great in that. All right, there you go. Top performances. So I guess we'll move on to top 5 movies of the first half of the year. Now, what will be interesting, I think, what's interesting every year is where these movies end up on our year-end lists, because the movies are so weighted towards the end of the year as far as like the quality award kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but it's always interesting to see what early movies actually can survive through and still be on our list. So it's the other reason I like doing this first half year, because some of these movies will be forgotten by the time we're talking about the, boatload of movies that are going to come out in November and December. So
yeah.
So let's get on it. Why don't you kick us off? Number 5.
Wonder Woman.
Good choice. Good choice. Yeah. Are we going to trump this?
I'm okay with trumping.
Okay, I'll trump Wonder Woman.
Okay. What you got?
Number 5 for me is one I know you're not going to trump, because I don't think you've seen it.
Okay.
Okja. Which
it's not out yet. I can't trump it.
I just saw it yesterday, so maybe there's some recency bias here.
Yeah.
Man, I loved it.
I want to hear about it.
I will tell you this, because again, we don't want to spoil anything, both for Andrew and for you, but it was quirky and strange and beautiful, and the digital work on this creature. That Okja is about this, I guess in the broadest sense, this invented creature that's kind of like a hippo pig dog.
Yeah.
In some ways, and that's Okja. That's the name of the character. And about this South Korean girl who takes care of him for 10 years, and then stuff happens.
Is it a foreign language film?
I don't know if you technically. I mean, there's lots of Korean in it, and it's made by a Korean director, and it was released in South Korea first. So I don't know. I don't know how that stuff's determined. But there's certainly enough foreign language in there that I would think it would be qualify for that. But there's a lot of English in there, too.
There is English? Okay.
Lots of it, yeah. Because Tilda Swinton is in it, Jake Gyllenhaal is in it, and they give really interesting performances here. But this movie is about its heart. I said this in my review, too, which you can check out at my YouTube channel. But it's an interesting review because there's a lot of stuff in this I think could go either way for people. I think you know how I do yellow, green, and red?
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's something that you might like or might dislike, I give it a yellow.
Yeah.
I actually had 3 yellows of my 5 this time.
You think it's a very particular taste of a movie?
I think there may be a lot of taste involved with this. which is funny when it's a movie about eating meat and, eating vegetables instead of eating meat. It is a vegetarian movie, by the way. It's a movie, kind of about the idea of, looking at that. But it's not preachy. It's much more of a story in not a sermon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. But I thought it was beautiful. And man, do I love Bong Joon-ho. Is that right?
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. Man, he
makes
great
good
work.
movies.
Yeah, and I thought this was one. So that's my number 5.
Very good. Very good. My number 4, I'm going to go with Get Out.
Good choice.
You going to trump me again? Okay.
No, Get Out actually didn't make my list. It was so close, but there are just a few things in that movie that keep it from being in the top 5 for me. But yeah,
I get it. The validation of everything that guy goes through and what he does at the end of that movie is just so it's so serviceable by the end of that movie because it validates all the emotions you've been feeling. Oh, I hate these people. They need to get their comeuppance. And everything that happens, you're like, yeah, let's do this. This is the movie that I wanted. And it's just so good.
Plus, it's so smart.
Yeah.
It's such a smart movie, such a beautiful metaphor for racism and race relations.
Exactly. It walks a very fine line between, it could have easily been a bad white movie, but it's not.
Well, because it's not really, if you watch that movie, and I think I've heard Jordan Peele talk about this, which, by the way, what an amazing directorial debut.
If you're going to come out with a movie, man.
I think I've heard him talk about this. I think a lot of it has to do with it. It's not about explicit racism. It's not about the jerk who is obviously a white nationalist,
it's the unknown subtle racist
it's almost about liberal racism, which is the idea of, oh, I care for you, I'm for you, everything you do is awesome, now come help us out politically. Which is something that I've heard people in the black community talk about, this idea that there's racism on both sides. One is this explicit, I'm better than you because I'm white. The other is, oh, I'm with you, now what can you do for me? Mm-hmm. And there's more of that almost in Get Out than there is even the explicit, racism that might be involved. Yeah. So that's what I think makes it really interesting.
Totally get it.
Yeah, good choice.
Your number 3?
My number 4.
Oh, 4. Okay.
I'm going with the movie Gifted.
Trump.
Ooh, nice.
No.
I did not expect that. I'm excited to hear you talk about Gifted.
Go ahead. It's my number 3, so we can go right into it. So.
Okay, cool. Chris Evans, kind of stepping back from that Captain America role and playing a little more of a nuanced character in this. But this, for me, was all about the story. It's one of those movies that just tells its story so perfectly that you're just in it the whole way. And you love these characters and you love what's happening. I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time because they're just not making a lot of movies like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it. I'm really excited that you liked it enough to put it at number 3.
Oh, man, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It was tugging on the heartstrings for me, absolutely. The only con I do have is I think that the teacher was a little miscast. I didn't really feel like she fit into that story.
That was Jenny Slate, was it?
Yeah, I think. A little. They could have done a little bit better casting there. She did fine.
Yeah,
but
I actually liked her performance. But...
Okay, great. But it's all about that little girl, man.
Yeah,
she knocks it out of the park. She does so good.
Yeah.
The attitude she has, it brings up that question. Just because somebody's different, does that mean you have to treat them differently?
Right.
And I really enjoyed that message. Great performance.
And there's such great family dynamic there between him and his mom, and what they're trying to do with the little girl. And man, it's incredible stuff.
Absolutely.
I should say his mother-in-law, right?
It's his mother.
It's his mother.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen it, but man, I'm excited to go back and rewatch it.
About 4 or 5 days ago, so it's fresh in my mind.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
very nice.
I didn't get to see it when it initially came out in theaters, but it's one that I missed. I'm like, I got to see that movie, and then you gave it high praise after you saw it.
Yeah, I love it.
So that was another reason for me to go see it.
Yeah, that was my number 4. So that was your number 3.
Yep. What's your
number 3? So
it's
on my number 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we talk about Wonder Woman.
Okay.
I had it in at number 3. So good to see. I was really, really hoping DC would iron some of this stuff out and start just telling great stories. And that's the thing that stood out to me about Wonder Woman more than anything else in the bigger context, is it was a centralized story about a character and it meant something. And they have just been flailing around with the DC stuff, trying to figure out what their foundation is, instead of just telling great stories about their characters. And this was the first time I felt like, since The Dark Knight, probably, where I felt like, oh, you just told a great story about one of your characters. And I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it. This is where they should have started. They should have started with movies like this and just said, you know what, Justice League is coming someday. It'll be here someday.
Yeah.
But, let's tell a Wonder Woman story. Let's tell an Aquaman story. Let's tell a Flash story. And it really bums me that they try to catch up with Marvel instead of building up.
Exactly.
So,
I totally agree.
I loved Wonder Woman. I
love the fact that in Wonder Woman, I think I said this during our review initially whenever we watched the movie, but I was expecting, a singular theme of the movie of girl power, which I was totally okay with and prepared for, but whenever it had a message to say about humanity as a whole and how messed up we can be, whenever it comes to war and whenever there were so many themes in this movie, I'm like, wow, you could have just centralized it about one thing, but you nailed every single theme that you were going for. Yeah. And I really appreciated that.
I do think the comments about, the flaws of the ending, just kind of descending into a big punching battle.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair criticism. But overall, there's just so much meat here that I can put up with the dessert at the end not being perfect.
There you go.
Good stuff. All right, we're on to number 2. What's your number 2?
Logan.
Nice choice. Choice.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's probably, is it the best X-Men movie besides Days of Future Past?
I don't think so. But I didn't like it as much as most people. That is the one. Logan is the one that I think I gave either a B or a B plus, and people are like, "Why do you hate it?" I'm like, "That doesn't mean I hate it.
Yeah,
I think it's a great movie. I just didn't like it quite as much as you did."
It's one of those movies where you will be shunned if you don't praise it beyond everything.
Yeah,
but no, man, Hugh Jackman, Sir Patrick Stewart, he may be giving a performance that I should have mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you were talking about that, I almost said the most likely performance to get awards consideration in that is Patrick Stewart. I still don't think it will, but if you're talking about, I think supporting actor might be in the talks on that one.
It would be great. It would be really good if he was.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's a great movie. I had too many issues with that movie to kind of notch it up to that, best of the year kind of status for me. So,
your number 2?
My number 2 is Split.
That was my number 6.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of personal aspect to this because to see M. Night return to making these kind of movies is such a thrill for me. I thought he was gone. I really did. Like, I thought I just actually revisited Sixth Sense and Unbreakable with my kids.
Oh, yeah?
And man, do they hold up. They are spectacular films. And no matter what you think about Signs, The Village.
I love Signs.
I love them both, actually.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people actually have real big problems with Signs in the Village. I think the M. Night fatigue was setting in then. I think especially the twist fatigue. It was like, what a twist. Yeah, you Shyamalan. So I think if you scrub that stuff out, you can see he's still making really good movies. Like he's a great visual director. Then he gets to The Happening, and then Last Airbender, which is
the greatest movie of all time,
the worst movie ever made. And I'm just like, what happened to you? Like, when did you stop? I think what it was he got big enough to where he didn't have to listen to other people, and I think it cost him in the creative sense. And now that I think he's kind of reining it in again, I thought Split was really well done.
Because I still haven't seen The Visit, so I hear that was like his stepping stone to getting right on track.
That was where things started turning, and you're like, okay. The weird thing with The Visit was it's a found footage movie.
Yeah.
And found footage is so stale, right? Like, it's just one of those things you almost roll your eyes when you hear that something's a found footage movie.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, what can M. Night do with this? And he shot as pure a found footage movie as I think I've seen.
Really?
Yeah, well, it felt more real to me than most found footage movies that I've ever seen. He didn't do what I think found footage should be, which is just make it a part of the movie, but not the whole movie. End of Watch is always the example I get for that, a lot of End of Watch is found footage. But it's not all found footage, because then you're just trying to justify why a camera was on. But The Visit is all found footage, and it almost feels justified. So, I think he's really smart, and I think you can start to see that, his return with The Visit.
Very good.
Yeah, I was really glad to see Split.
Number ones?
Number ones.
I have a feeling I know what yours is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Lego Batman movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. I can't argue that. That's a great movie.
One of the funniest movies I've seen in a very long time. I think it was you who told me that you thought the first 15 minutes of this movie would be the greatest short film of all time.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and in fact, to be honest, I think what I said, I think that was actually my son's opinion.
Oh, it was
one
your
of my
son's opinion.
one of my sons turned to me after the first, 15, 20 minutes. He was like, "That would have been an amazing short film." And I started to think about it. And I was like, "Yeah, that was incredible."
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
It hits the ground running, and for me, it didn't let up. I think for you and maybe some other people, it was like, okay, kind of, you push that humor a little too much for you, but
well, it wasn't just pushing the humor; it was that character is best at the opposite of what the movie wanted him to grow into.
You didn't want him to become a good guy,
right? Exactly. I wanted him to stay oblivious and self-centered, and that's where he's the funniest.
Yeah.
And it suffered for me from the take a side character, make them the main character syndrome. The Minions movie suffers from this a great deal. What was the one that just came out? I'm not going to remember. But when you take a goofy side character and try to make them the center of a movie, they lose their ability to be comic relief. And
we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean with Jack Sparrow?
No. Although they did have that kind of happen in the sequels.
Yeah.
And I've heard that said about Cars 2 is another good example. Mater all of a sudden is the center of the movie and those kind of things. But yeah, so it suffers from that a little bit for me, even though it's so funny and the story is so well told. But yeah, no, I have no qualms with you putting it at your number one.
All right. Now your number one.
What do you think it is?
Beauty and the Beast?
No.
Oh.
No. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, okay.
I had so much fun at that movie, man.
Nice. Very nice.
And not only had so much fun, but also I really felt like I know that a lot of people don't feel this way, but I really felt that the humor and the emotion when they were played together somehow worked in that movie for me. Like the little lines after an emotional moment where, there would be a little bit of a smile or a laugh.
And that's where we differ.
Right, yeah. And I know a lot of people actually differ in that way, but I really thought that worked. I think Chris Pratt was born to play Star-Lord. He's so good in that role. I love that cast. I love, and I'm forgetting his name, the wrestler who plays
Batista?
Drac. Yeah, Batista is so good.
Now, he was born to play that role.
And there's an example of don't make that movie. Don't make the Drac movie. He's such a perfect side character, for what he does. So I'm ready for Groot and Rocket Raccoon to be back to what they were in the first one. I loved cute baby Groot. I mean, how can you not love cute Groot? But I'm ready for Groot. You know what I mean? So I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. Maybe they insinuated he'd be teenage Groot in the next one. I'm just can we just have him back to adult Groot?
I think they said in an article it was just that ending credit scene was to show you that he is getting older, but the next movie he will be grown up again.
Good. That's good.
So
that's what I want. But I really liked Volume 2. It's my favorite movie that I saw the first half of the year.
Very good.
The only movie I saw the first half of the year that I gave an A to.
You didn't give an A to
I gave an
Split?
I gave an A- to Split.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All those other four I all gave A-.
Nice. I'm not gonna lie, we've praised some movies, but there have been some rough movies this year, man. Outside of my top 10, like it gets okays and then just really bad movies. Like they've been really bad.
Yeah. I think part of that is our tendency to think everything that's not great is awful, especially in our culture today. But you're right. There have been some awful ones, but there have also been some mediocre ones too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there have been some mediocres because I've seen 25 movies so far, and 6 of them are atrociously bad.
We could do that. Let me take a list and see how many. Take a look at my list and see how many movies I've seen so far this year. I am currently at 47.
47, man.
So I'm currently
You're almost doubled me.
So I've seen 47 movies this year. Like I said, I gave the one A, and then I've got about 7 A-. And then in the B plus, B- range, I've got 17. So there's some in there that aren't great, but, aren't certainly bad. And then it just goes down from there. 17 Cs, and then already this year below C, I've got 5 movies that got a D or lower.
Man.
So, 1 D-. You want to guess what my 1 D- was?
Circle?
Yeah, The Circle.
Yeah. Is that the lowest grade you've given?
Yeah. No, not ever. but
No, I mean for this year.
For this year, yes.
Yeah, that's my third least favorite movie of the year. So yeah.
You have two lower than that?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I hesitate to ask.
One of them we just recently saw, and the other one is A Cure for Wellness.
But don't let that bad stuff keep you away from the good stuff.
No.
Why'd you drag us into talking about the bad stuff, Andrew?
Because that's me. I'm pessimistic.
There you go. Good job. Huzzah.
We did a podcast.
You did a SwiftSift, Andrew.
This is my first one.
That's right. I think I did one alone, and then Danae did the Colossal review with me for another.
Yeah. Then you did one with Jeremy from CinemaSins.
Yeah, when we talked about remakes and that kind of thing.
That was a really fun episode.
Thanks so much for hanging out with Andrew and I during this Sift Swift. If you didn't know, this is a part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. This is a podcast network that is alive because of your support. Starting at $3 a month, you can support what goes on here. Thanks to so many who have done so. And by the way, as soon as you support, you have access to your own dedicated podcast feed where you get bonus episodes, pre-shows, all that kind of fun stuff as well. So thank you for being a supporter at patreon.com/StudioDNA. Also, if you ever want to listen to the recording of this podcast live, you can check us out at Mixlr, mixlr.com/StudioDNA. If you sign up there and follow us, you'll get a notification every time we go live. When we record any podcast actually on the Studio DNA network. So you can check that out. Again, that's mixlr.com/StudioDNA. Thanks, of course, to Andrew from Flick Freaks for hanging out with me like he does every week. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Head over to youtube.com/Flick Freaks. Hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell. So whenever we post a new video or go live for like a Let's Play or something, you'll automatically be notified. I'd love to have your subscription. Hopefully what we do, you find entertaining.
The notification bell.
Yeah.
I've never even heard that term.
It's a new thing, or if it is, it's probably new to me. It's probably been around forever, though.
Well, it makes sense. It's a way to make sure that you're getting a notification when something happens from certain channels.
Exactly.
Because YouTube does the same thing that a lot of social networks do, where they have some sort of algorithm where they determine which ones you really want to see. But if you want to be like, nope, I really want to see Flick Freaks, you just click that notification bell. You can do that on my channel as well. Your Movie Friend, so it's youtube.com/yourmoviefriend. Feel free to sub and hit the notification bell. That's my new favorite phrase.
Yeah.
If you've got any feedback for what we're doing, you can do that pretty much anywhere you find the podcast. If you listen at iTunes, you can do an iTunes comment. If you listen at SoundCloud, you can do a SoundCloud comment. You can also email us. That'll get to us the quickest, probably. feedback@siftpop.com. Also hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer, and Andrew, I believe, is at Flick Freaks. And you can hit up either of those Twitters to follow what's going on there. And thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate it. We should be back next week with a look at Spider-Man Homecoming. So this will be an interesting one. The first Marvel/Sony collaboration with the Spider-Man franchise.
I'm pretty stoked, I'm not going to lie.
And our first Spider-Man movie in the last couple years.
Gotta love that origin story, man.